According to one CDC study commissioned by President Obama, between 500,000 and 3 million defensive gun uses happen in America every single year. But why do so many of these incidents go unreported? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. My name's Tom Grieve. I'm a former state prosecutor and criminal defense attorney. Let's get into it. So let me be extraordinarily clear about this. If you ever are unfortunately involved in a defensive gun use case, win the race to 911. You absolutely want to call 911 yourself. Check out our videos linked in the description box below for more information about that. I'm not going to waste your time on that here. Because in this video, we're talking about why do people not call 911? And both as a former state prosecutor, but primarily as a criminal defense attorney where I work at the largest criminal defense firm in my state, we have everyone calling us all the time for everything. And while we have a very specific client type that we enjoy working with, namely good people on a bad day, the simple fact is we have everybody call us. So why is all of this relevant? Because quite often, people pull a firearm and police are never contacted. Meaning there's no official documentation, there's no official reports, there's nothing like that. How do I know about that? Because I talk to many of these people when they call in. And I talk them through the pros and cons. And oftentimes, they'll typically call me in maybe a week or several days after the event. Sometimes it's months later, but usually it's in the week or so of the incident having occurred. And usually, here's what the conversation emerges as far as a list of pros and cons. All right, and keep in mind, we're assuming that nobody from either side is called in because oftentimes the bad guys do win the race to 911. So why do people not call in? Well, frankly, if you've survived the incident and if you haven't been contacted by law enforcement, from their perspective, what's the upside? I survived the incident. That's gone. I don't want to get a reputation as being the guy who calls the cops in my community because let's face it, in many communities, that can be a really bad thing. And I'm not making a political statement or editorializing about that. I'm observing a pragmatic reality that anybody with a brain and a set of eyes knows to be true. So there's actually disincentives for calling in. Additionally, what's going to happen? Oftentimes, the cops are not going to find those bad guys. At least they're not going to have enough evidence on them to really do much of anything with, or so goes the thinking of these people. So again, what's the upside of this? I'm not going to take someone off the street. And in many communities that have soft on crime policing and prosecuting and judicial systems, even if I do go in there and if I do testify about them, now I'm that guy and they're going to get probation, some jail, something like that. Who knows, right? But the bottom line is, again, I'm really only exposing myself to greater risk. I've raised my profile in a situation where I do not want to have my profile raised. What else? This is something I've had happen before. Good guy calls in, police actually identify bad guy. Bad guy switches the story around and says, no, they tried to rob me or whatever the case may be. But the bad guy denies ever having a firearm, ever having a weapon or anything like that. And oftentimes the police just say, look, I've got citizen number one, who's saying that they got robbed and I pulled a gun on them. Citizen number two says, that guy robbed me and I didn't have a gun. And they wind up prosecuting and charging citizen number one, who is the actual original victim. But they don't understand the ins and outs of the criminal justice system. So they don't understand that, in essence, they walked themselves into this because they saw themselves as a true and innocent victim. Guys, I've got a fantastic interview about this. Click in the link in the description box below for more information on a real-life case where exactly this happened to a good guy in a bad position. So to kind of sum up on this, what's the upside? You're going to call the cops, raise your own profile, possibly endanger your life or the life of your family, all for a situation that is basically now done and gone behind you? To do what? Risk criminal charges? Risk more violence? Oftentimes the thinking is, look, I'm just going to blend back into the woodwork here. I'm going to go to ground, so to speak. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to move on, and they'll move on to someone else. Because now they know that I use my firearm in self-defense, which, keep in mind, statistically, the majority of the uses of firearms in self-defense, there's no shots fired. The simple production and display of a firearm, according to FBI, about 90% effective at dissuading the bad guys from continuing, all right? That's just the vast majority of the time. And that's the reason why the vast majority of the cases out there, in my view, combined with my real world experience with running the phones, there's going to be no firm statistics with that. There's going to be no police reports. So that's the reason why, yes, I absolutely buy the fact that there's between 500,000 and 3 million, depending upon your methodology and all that kind of stuff, uses of firearms as self-defense in America every single year. If you want me to expand on this more, let me know in the comment section below. If you made it this far in this video, please take a moment, show your support for the Second Amendment, show your support for all the good guys who do use firearms in self-defense lawfully and innocently. Click like, subscribe. Let me know in the comment box below what you think about this. Do you think it's actually higher, closer to 3 million or even more? Do you think it's lower, closer to 500,000 or less? If you were ever involved in a self-defense firearm situation, would you call the cops? Or having heard this video about how real-life people make their own decisions, would you maybe think the other way? And again, I want to make it very clear, I stress that people should absolutely call 911. So let there be no equivocating where I stand on that. But these are very real-life situations, very real-life phone calls that I've done with folks month in, month out, going back over a decade plus. Guys, if you've made it this far, again, I appreciate you. The algorithm appreciates you to increase our average view duration, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this one, please feel free to check out some of our other great content, and we'll see you in the next one.